Hi guys, Toger here with a new video, and this video will be a Elemental Shaman PvP video, and not a guide yet because I want to test multiple builds and multiple play styles and to talk about them on one big PvP video, one big PvP guide. So I can actually shower you with multiple builds that are going to be coherent and working. But I could talk about an optimal build that you can play right now, and it will probably be good in season 1, but I really want to test as much as I can so I can give you I have around 4 builds in my opinion that I can show you guys, and I am still in the testing phase and we don't really have the gear for it. I don't want to go on the beta as well. I think right now I'm enjoying really the war within early access. After the 2 negative videos I had about enhancement shaman, I wanted to bring you a positive one about Shaman, which is Elemental Shaman. I think Elemental Shaman is in a great spot. While people were actually concerned about Elemental Shaman being worse, probably, and because of the pre-patch being bloated on the stats wise, right now the stats are not bloated. They are inferior to what we are going to be in season 1. So it means that whatever you're going to test right now, it's going to be probably better once the season is going to start. We have, for example, here only 32% mastery, only 6% haste, and only 5% versatility. And I still am capable to have fun with the gameplay around Elemental Shaman. Now, why am I having fun with Elemental Shaman compared to Enhancement Shaman? Well, I'm going to say that right now I didn't touch Farseer because Stormbringer has been so much fun. They finally fixed a lot of stuff towards Tempest that was a concern to me on the beta. You can watch every single video I've made about Elemental Shaman in the beta. Tempest was filled with incoherence and making it not able to have a benefit using and casting Tempest. You had a lot of problems with Tempest where Tempest was something you don't want to cast in single target because it deals less damage than Lightning Bolt. Didn't have the buffs or the talent upgrades from Lightning Bolt that were shipped towards Tempest. But there's also the problem where obviously you have to cast it. It's not possible to have it being instant cast, for example Enhancement Shaman. But to the big surprise, it actually deals a lot of damage. Also has overload now, which you didn't have it on the beta, and also it hits harder than a normal lightning bolt. For example, a Stormkeeper lightning bolt hits for 300k. My Tempest hits, not crits, for 475k. That's in a BG. I can find you probably other periods where we did better damage. I do have to find it. For example, here Tempest 537k, and here my Lightning Bolt Stormkeeper here 295k. And of course, whenever it goes for a bit of an overload, it actually brings you a lot more damage to the table. So it is something you really want to cast and to enjoy. For example, here I critted for 960k, and Lightning Bolt crits Stormkeepers 524k. So it is worth to cast, although it is a 2-second cast with haste being very low, and obviously you can have a bit of a easier time whenever you get Storm Frenzy, which works on Tempest, which is quite nice. I found Volcanic Surge not working, the reduced cast time from Volcanic Surge doesn't really work, I think, or I maybe misread or misfelt while I was in a BG. But it's very fun. This build makes me think look, I'm really playing Elemental Shaman, the Master of Elements. While Enhancement Shaman makes me feel like I'm not playing Enhancement Shaman, I'm playing an Elemental Shaman with not the cool stuff about Elemental Shaman, right? So what do I find fun about Elemental Shaman? Elemental Shaman, currently with this build, so the build that I'm running right now, obviously there's still a lot of things that I need to change. For example, this should not be used because this is now a 3-minute CD. It was a 2-minute CD. So Totemic Recall has no benefits towards Stone Bulwark Totem. So you can put those two points into, for example, season wins if you're playing versus casters. You can go, for example, for if you're playing versus like highly elemental damage kinda, you can play healing stream with like elemental resistance, which gives you a 6% fire, frost, and nature damage taken reduction, which is quite nice. Or if you're playing versus someone that has a hex, you can decurse him. Or if you're playing versus a warlock, you can decurse the agony, which is also quite nice. You can go for ancestral guidance if you want to. There's a lot of points that you can spend, and that's a cool thing that you have. For now, I'm not going to touch it because again, I don't want to like slow down the video. I wanted to make it fast one. On the right side of the tree, you could easily like change a few points here and there. For example, I do play with Thunder Strike Ward for now. It gives you a bit of damage. It's not like that impressive, but it's still there. You could also take that away, and you can go, for example, for improved flame tongue weapon. Fury of the Storms is something you can play, but you can also say, look, I prefer maybe to get a reduction CD on your fire or storm elemental. You can go, for example, Echo of the Elements, which is also quite nice if you play around that. You can go with whatever you want with that point. You can even go for liquid magma totem, so you can like spread out flame shocks, which is a possibility that you can do. Again, I don't want to like have too many buttons, like button blows. I would say if I can play without liquid magma totem and have a lot of like benefits, I'll be doing that as well. So for now, I'll keep it like this. I'm still testing. It is not a final build. I want to still play and test Elemental Blast, although there's no really reasons to go for Elemental Blast whenever Earthshock has like nearly the same damage. But we'll have to see. So for now, this build is very fun because you have a lot of like damage and scary factors towards PvP that makes you very unpredictable on your damage. If they don't kick your lava burst actually does some respectable damage and actually some good damage if you're playing like with Volcanic Surge, for example. It does some great damage. Your lightning bolt does also a lot of damage. For example, here I did crit for 1 million. It's not going to happen in PvP, but I did crit for 1 million on a Stormkeeper that is a proc from Stormbringer, which is quite cool. For example, if I just like do my lightning bolts, it does a lot of like procs. For example, my Thunder Strike did actually 94k, for example, lightning bolt 164. Together it does way more damage than you would think. And obviously you have overloads. Obviously you're not going to just like straight up lightning bolt and that's it. You're going to do more, but the damage is really nice. And you also have like a lot of cool factors from Stormbringer, for example, Awakening Storms, which is adding more damage towards your lightning bolt. Again, something that you also have as Enhancement Shaman, but it's nowhere near the same power. So there is something wrong with Enhancement Shaman. But overall, this is just too fun. And also Arc Discharge is such a great talent for Elemental Shaman because you're going to cast Tempest, and since you don't have Maelstrom weapons like, for example, in Enhancement Shaman, having 2 instant cast Chain Lightnings in an AoE situation or in a BG where you're fighting 3 people, for example, and they're like together, it actually adds up with a lot of damage. So that's what I find fun. You have like a lot of weapons that are at your disposal to deal a lot of damage. For example, your lava burst, if you're not kicking that, well, they're not respecting you. So you can still do, for example, something like very basic. Well, I cannot primal your wave here, so I'll have to find another one, I guess. I'm gonna primal your wave him, and if they're not respecting it, so I'm going to just do Ascendance, and boom, it's already like a lot of damage, and he's going to probably cower away from you, pretty much. So if they're letting you cast Lava Burst, well, more power to you, because now you have Ascendance on a 2-minute CD, which is phenomenal, by the way. Something I would like to on Enhancement Shaman, but guess what? Enhancement Shaman is the only spec on the Shaman tree, or on the Shaman spec that has Ascendance on a 3-minute CD instead of 2. So whatever. But Tempest also, very surprisingly, does a lot of damage, and it's cool to be able to do, like, for example, 2 Chain Lightnings in a PvP, like in a AoE situation. But you see, Tempest does a lot of damage, like 400k. Again, in PvP, it's a bit higher because you have like modifiers. Again, for example, now I'm 3.5k, 3,500k HP. In PvP, you get more eye level. For example, a lot of like those gear is going to get scaled towards 600 PvP eye level. Not PvP eye level, but the eye level, 600 eye level, because it has scaling in BGs, which is surprising, but they do that, so that's cool. But some items don't. For example, like 528 or below, you don't get a PvP upgrade on the BGs, so it's not 600. But you can like test it right now in BGs. If you're like having a neck of a 545 eye level, it will be upgraded to 600, which is cool. So it means that the damage is a bit more realistically going to be what is going to happen whenever you're going to be PvP geared. Although PvP gear is higher than 600, so you'll see that the damage will be higher than what you know right now. But so you have your lava burst doing insane damage. Imagine they're not kicking your lightning bolt, they're kicking your lava burst. You still have your lightning bolts, which are actually doing a lot of damage if you're playing this build, because it's around lightning bolt. Like everything that is going to augment your lava, your lightning bolt, will be giving you good damage. For example, whenever you have your storm elemental, it's going to give you 10% more nature damage. You have thunder strike, you have lightning conduit, you have your reduced cast time with storm frenzy every time you're going to do earth shock. You have your ice fury as well, which is going to be combined with a nature and a fire spell, going to cast an additional elemental blast at 60% effectiveness, which is a lot of damage. You have your flux melting, which is going to improve your damage on lava burst. You have a lot of like synergies that are going to improve either lava burst or lightning bolt. And then you have like multiple ways to deal the damage. You can deal with damage with your primordial wave and go for an ascendance, for example, if you have like a clear like way to deal damage. Now you have also heroism on PvP talent, so you have a 1 minute PI kinda that you can cast on an ally as well, which is 10 seconds. It's not like the biggest PI, it's like a half PI kinda, but it's still like very strong. And then you have your volcanic surge, which is going to reduce the cast time with your lightning bolt and chain lightning, which is cool. And then you have also your damage going to be increased because of that, like your lightning bolt, chain lightning, and lava bursts are going to be augmented by 30%. So there was a lot of like things that are working together, which I like about Elemental Shaman. It feels like I'm not like forced with button bloat. Like for example, Ice Fury, you don't have it on your bars. Whenever you're getting like an Ice Fury proc, it's going to replace your Frost Shock. Now, it doesn't proc that often, to be fair. Sometimes I'm telling myself, like, should I maybe remove it? I don't know. I have to test it. I feel like the times where whenever it procs, it actually feels very cool and very necessary. But like again, sometimes it doesn't proc for a whole fight. For example, here it does replace Frost Shock. Then you go for a Ice Fury, does a lot of damage, and then you can just spam your Frost Shock, which in turn also does a lot of damage. So that's cool. Like that's impressive. It's refreshing. I know like a lot of people actually like destroyed Elemental Shaman Rework because it didn't proc Lava Surge as much as they like it to. But I'm sorry, this is like really a cool iteration of your Elemental Shaman, right? You have a lot of builds that you can play. Are they all like super optimal? No. Like for example on Dragonflight you also had like a few builds that you could play like full mastery or full crit or full haste. They were all working. Obviously some were more reliable than others, but that is the beauty of a good spec, being able to play every single build and being able to say, look, this is actually cool, this is actually working, this is actually having fun, this is actually having results. And that's something I wish other specs has, for example Enhancement Shaman, which is not currently happening. But it was just a video to showcase you a bit of the Elemental Shaman potential. For example here, Tempest, 1.1 million damage. Again, it's on a dummy, obviously it's going to be a bit lower, but it's refreshing to see that they finally fixed a lot of the problems I had with Tempest and with Stormbringer, which I find way more cooler than Farseer. I think Farseer is very boring. It just adds you more passive damage, which you can actually just forget about it. You don't really play around it. It just happens. While Tempest is something you're going to prepare on it. You get a proc of Tempest. You have to know, look, this is going to be a casted ability. I need to either fake a kick or either bait a kick with like Lava Burst and get like a full Tempest, or just try to flex and go for Tempest, and if they kick, well, too bad, you have still Lava Burst, and if they don't kick, well, they are going to probably get destroyed because of that. So it's a cool gameplay where you have multiple schools of spells, and I don't really care being kicked on like Lava Burst, Lightning Bolt, or pretty much that, because you only have those two abilities now that you can cast and get kicked. Like you have Healing Surge, which is also nature spell anyway. So before you had Ice Fury, where you could actually like get kicks from like people that don't know how Elemental Shaman works. So that was like a bait that you should never kick Ice Fury back in the day. But right now Ice Fury is now a instant ability, so you can't kick on Frost schools. So now there's only like the Lava Burst and your Lightning Bolt that you can kick. Of course Healing Surge and Hex, but they are like two schools. It's refreshing that you have like one school that is always going to be available, which is Frost Shock, for example. You have a school that is going to be either very powerful if you're playing around, if you're like, again, you have multiple builds like Lava Burst, or if they're going to kick on your Lightning Bolt, depending on your build. Again, it might be a bait, it might be something strong, but I like to have like that many options. Like the same for Destruction Warlock, and that's why I like Destruction Warlock. It's the multiple schools that you have and that you can play around to have an advantage out of like getting kicked. So I really like Elemental Shaman. Again, I encourage a lot of people that were disappointed about Enhancement Shaman to play Elemental Shaman. I encourage a lot of people to like, again, give it a try. The people that were like the naysayers that said like pre-patch it was busted, it will not be busted, it will be very bad at level 80 and whenever the War Within is going to come out. Well, again, naysayers, let's look at how it goes. Right now I do feel like it is a very, very strong spec. I'm not going to say busted because I think there are like other specs that are a bit more busted, but I don't want to pronounce too much about it because I think there will be a patch anyways before Season 1 begins. So I don't think there is like much utility from me to talk about like purely power. But the specs that I'm very worried about is Enhancement Shaman for being very bad. And I would say that currently I have a bit of a worrying concern about BM Hunter. I don't see any BM Hunters currently. I see everyone playing MM. I see everyone playing Survival, and it feels like BM Hunter has been like gutted since Dragonflight. Like, I think they should again take a look at how the damage is done in PvP. It's very tough to balance a spec that has less buttons though. That is the problem whenever you do remove the button load. Well, the buttons that you're going to press, they need to be meaningful. And right now, currently, it feels like BM Hunter doesn't really have that many buttons that are really meaningful. So we'll have to see. Again, thank you for watching this video. Really appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. And we will catch each other probably very soon in the next video. Have a great day.